Nobody wakes up one morning and decides to lose respect. It does not happen in a single argument, a single mistake, or a single bad day. It happens the way a slow leak destroys a ship, quietly, invisibly, one small crack at a time. And the most devastating part is this. The people who are losing respect the fastest are almost always the ones who are the most convinced they are doing fine. They think they are being honest. They are actually being defensive. They think they are being confident. They are actually broadcasting insecurity to every room they walk into, and the people around them can feel it, even if they never say it out loud. What you are about to hear are 5 habits that feel completely normal from the inside, but are quietly draining your social capital from the outside. And if even one of these lands, it is going to be uncomfortable. But uncomfortable truths are the only ones that actually change anything. The first habit, the compulsion to impress. There is a version of you that has genuinely done impressive things, real things, things worth being proud of. And none of that is the problem. The problem is when the need to make sure other people know about those things becomes a compulsion you cannot switch off. When every conversation subtly bends back toward your achievements. When your listening has a half-second delay because you are already thinking about what you are going to say next. When you talk about where you have been not to connect but to establish. Here is what the psychology actually says about this. Researchers at Harvard found that people who frequently self-promote are consistently rated as less competent and less trustworthy than they rate themselves. Not more impressive. Less. Because the people in the room are not hearing your accomplishments. They are hearing your hunger for validation. And hunger, worn publicly, reads as hollow, not powerful. The truly respected person in any room is almost never the loudest voice talking about themselves. They are the one who asks questions that make you feel like you are the most interesting person they have ever met. Respect flows toward those who make others feel significant, not toward those who are constantly reminding others of their own significance. The second habit, the habit of blame. Something went wrong, the project failed, the relationship ended, the opportunity slipped, and almost immediately the story you tell yourself has a villain. Your boss was unfair, your partner was unreasonable, the system was rigged, the timing was terrible, and none of that may even be wrong. Some of it might be completely true. But here is the question that separates people who grow from people who stagnate. In every story where something went wrong in your life, what was your part in it? Not all of it, just your part. Because if your answer is always 0, you have not found clarity. You have found a defense mechanism. Psychologists call this an external locus of control. The deep psychological pattern of locating the cause of your outcomes entirely outside of yourself. And the social cost of it is enormous. Because people around you are watching. Not just what went wrong, but whether you are capable of seeing yourself clearly. And a person who cannot see themselves clearly is a person nobody feels safe depending on. Accountability is not self-punishment. It is self-awareness. And self-awareness is the one quality that makes every other quality you have more credible. The third habit, selective decency. Watch how someone treats a waiter when they are in a hurry. Watch how they speak to a customer service representative when the call is not going their way. Watch how they talk about people who are no longer useful to them. Watch them in the moments when there is nothing to gain and nobody impressive is watching. That is their actual character, not the version they present in job interviews and first dates. The unguarded version. The one that comes out when they think the stakes are low because the person in front of them is low. Here is what this habit does socially. Humans are wired for pattern recognition, and the pattern that gets detected fastest in any social group is inconsistency between public and private behavior. The moment even one person in your circle sees you be dismissive to someone who cannot benefit you, your entire curated reputation begins to unravel. Because they now know the warmth you show them is conditional. They start to wonder what you say about them when they are not in the room. Character is not what you perform for the people who matter. Character is what you cannot help but reveal when you think it does not matter. And the most respected people in any room have one thing in common. The gap between their public and private behavior is almost nothing. The fourth habit, Defensive fragility. Someone gives you feedback. Maybe a colleague, maybe a friend, maybe a partner. And before they have even finished the sentence, something in you rises up. A tension in the chest. A need to explain. A need to clarify. A need to make sure they understand that they are not entirely right about this, that the context is more complicated, that there were reasons. And by the end of the conversation, the feedback is somehow no longer about you. It is about the way they delivered it, about their tone, about their timing. This is not confidence. This is a fragile ego feeling threatened by the possibility of being seen as imperfect, and it is one of the most socially expensive habits a person can have. Because the unspoken message it sends to everyone around you is this: do not tell me the truth. It will cost you. And people obey that message. They stop giving you honest feedback. They smile and say everything is fine. They protect you from reality. And slowly, without ever realizing it, you become the last person in your own life to know how you actually come across. You operate inside a silence that feels like acceptance but is actually avoidance. The people who command the deepest respect are not the people who never make mistakes. They are the people who, when confronted with a mistake, go still, get quiet, and say, "Tell me more." That stillness is not weakness. That is the most psychologically sophisticated response available. It signals security. And security in your own identity is the foundation of every form of genuine respect. The fifth habit, unconscious superiority. This one is the most invisible because it does not always feel like arrogance from the inside. It feels like standards. It feels like awareness. It feels like having figured some things out that other people have not caught up to yet. It is the quiet, constant internal commentary. The slight impatience when someone explains something slowly. The small sigh when a conversation does not meet your level. The way you half listen, because you already know where this is going. You do not think you are better than people. You just find most people slightly less interesting, slightly less informed, slightly less evolved than they could be. And you tell yourself that you would never actually say that out loud. But you do not have to say it out loud. Humans read microexpressions at a speed that bypasses conscious awareness. The slight eye movement, the subtle shift in posture, the fraction of a second where your attention drifts before snapping back. People feel the version of them that exists in your mind. And when that version is smaller than the version they know themselves to be, they pull away. Not dramatically, quietly. The way water retreats from a surface that repels it. The deepest irony of unconscious superiority is this. The very quality you think elevates you above the room is the exact quality that quietly removes you from it. The most brilliant people you will ever meet almost always make you feel smarter for having talked to them, not smaller. That is not a coincidence. That is mastery. Now here is the brutal truth that all 5 of these habits point toward. Respect is not destroyed by what people say about you. It is not taken by your enemies or stolen by your critics. It is destroyed slowly, consistently, and silently by what your behavior keeps proving. Every time you reach for validation, you prove the insecurity you are trying to hide. Every time you deflect blame, you prove that growth frightens you more than failure does. Every time you treat the wrong person badly, you prove that your warmth was always conditional. Every time you fight feedback instead of feeling it, you prove that being right matters more to you than being real. And every time you look at the people around you from even an inch above, you prove that you have confused awareness with wisdom. Respect is not a status others grant you when you perform well enough. It is a reflection, a direct, unedited reflection of the quality of the person you are being when you think nobody important is watching. The good news is that every single one of these habits is learned, which means every single one of them can be unlearned, not through motivation, not through willpower, through awareness. The same awareness that makes you uncomfortable right now is the exact awareness that makes change possible. You already know which one of these landed. You already know which habit has been quietly costing you. And that knowing, that moment of honest recognition, is not a reason to feel ashamed. It is the first moment of something better. The question is never who you have been. The question is always who you choose to be starting now.